Building ships in Starfield can be some of the most frustrating things you ever try to do in your life. But in this guide, I'm going to help you figure out all the tips, tricks, and secrets you need to know to build the ship of your dreams. If you're looking for a specific part of the guide, then check down in the chapter list below so that you can skip straight to that part of the video. Let's get into it. The ship license. Yes, you're going to need a ship license, or more like you're going to need some skills. If you want access to the greatest ship parts in the game, you will need 3 things. The first thing you will need is going to be the piloting rank to at least 4, maxing out Starfield design, and finally you will need to be above at least level 60 to 80 in the game to see every single available ship part there is. Frustrations when building. So when you're building a ship, there's a lot of things that can be frustrating, but let's break down how to build ships. More than 4 engines. This is the lie that the game has been telling us, but as you can see, I slapped 4 engines on this thing right here and I'm loving it. You can have more than 4 engines on a ship. You will need to pay attention to how much power each engine part costs you. So if you open up your engine tab and we scroll through to some of the best engines in the game down at the bottom, if you haven't already peeped my last video, this video is telling you some of the best engines that you can have in the game. I'll leave a link to it down in the description below and a card in the top right. But as you can see, some of the best engines or C-class engines in the game cost 3 power. The engine that I was using for a long time was actually this one right here, the Supernova 2200 engines. I've been slapping this thing on every ship that I ever created in the game, thinking that this was the best, and I was wrong. These things right here are the SAL 6830 engines from the Slayton Aerospace, and Slayton, yo, you get a pat on the back for this one because these things go crazy. These Class C engines max out at 2 power, meaning that you can get 6 of them on a ship at one time. The other engines cost you 3 power per one, so you can only get 4 of them at one time. Something that I wish I knew earlier. Landing gear and troubles. So a lot of people don't actually notice that the landing gear is the most important part of the entire shipbuilding process. You will need to balance out your landing gear with the mass of your ship in order for it to properly land and or for it to even fly, period. The best landing gears, which can be found in Hopetown and New Homestead, can offer up to 4 thrusts per landing gear, which can come in clutch to making some of the best and fastest ships in the game. As you can see, these Hope Tech Hope 55 landing gears give me 4 thrusts, whereas if I go over to landing gear in Jemison, these things are only giving me 1 thrust, and that's it. That's just terrible. There's actually some other landing gear that I was using for a long time. Here, I'll scroll to the bottom so you can see them. The Stroud Eklund landing gears were some of my favorite to use, but I never noticed that they were only giving me 2 thrusts. So I was missing out on these amazing landing gears right here. And technically you don't need as many landing gears if you're using these. So if you have a really restricting design for your ship, you might want to consider using these Nova Galactic landing gears that will give you 4 lander thrusts, or these Hope Tech landing gears. Connecting Habs and cockpits. So you may have noticed while building that the cockpit is not properly attached to the ship. You might get that notification from time to time. When you look at any specific hab, there's specific things that you need to look out for. If we take a close look at this one, you have this weird circular type thing with an arrow going into it, and then you have these circles with a solid circle in the middle. What's going on here is these are actually just connection points for other modules, whereas this one right here is an entry point. An entry point has to be connected to other modules that also have the said entry point, which will have an arrow going into them. If these arrows are not connected properly, then you won't be able to access that hab, and the ship will tell you that. So always make sure that you're paying attention exactly to where all the different connections for your habs are. For example, if we take a look at this Deimos all-in-one berth, there's engine halves on the top, and then there's the skull circle on the sides, as well as the doors that wrap around it. This thing can be attached on at any side. The rectangular connections do not need to be connected to any other hab. The square connection parts need to be connected to other square connection parts in order to be accessed. And the skull-like circular connector part needs to be attached to other skull-like circular connector parts in order to be accessed. So just make sure that you're paying attention to where exactly you're connecting each of your building Lego parts. Unattached modules. So if I bring back up this hab over here, you might get a notification that says ship has unattached modules on it. And sometimes it's not as obvious as just a ship part not being connected. But if you want to figure out exactly what is not connected to your ship at any given time, highlight over your ship and click on the left bumper on your controller, and boom, this thing will highlight every single ship part on the ship, and you can circle around the ship and scan it to see what exactly is not connected. Let's say I was moving a whole bunch of stuff around while I was building my ship, and I didn't notice exactly what was not connected. If you look down in our error tab, it says ship has unattached modules. The easiest and fastest way to figure out what is not attached to your ship is for you to highlight your ship and click the LB button. As soon as you click on that, you can scan the entire ship, and anything that isn't highlighted in red is technically not connected to the ship. And as you can see right over here to the right, I have these two things that I forgot to reconnect to for some strange reason. I have my equipment plate that I forgot to put back in its original place, and boom, there you have it. Now everything is connected back where it's supposed to be, and things are back to normal. Ship parts and location. Not every ship part is available in each of the ship techs that you visit. You will need to bounce around to a lot of the other ship techs and systems in order to get all the pieces to the ship of your dreams. I will be creating a special items shipbuilding location guide, so if you don't want to miss out on that, be sure to sub to the channel so that you don't miss out on any future Starfield content. Customizing your colors and looks. After using a color in Starfield, the game saves exactly what you wanted for your color schemes, so you don't necessarily have to remember what color you made or created. For example, if you highlight your ship and go down to recents, this thing saves every single color scheme that you actually used recently, so you can just go down there to the bottom, switch it up as you please, and it's actually a quick and easy way for you to, test different looks out for your ship. So like maybe you want to make it a little bit brighter, boom, there you go. You have a whole new option right there at your fingertips, and as soon as you lock that in, the game will save and it'll make sure that it remembers your new design. Weapons and mounting. So when you want to mount your weapons on your ship, you may need a special structural part like a side weapon mount or equipment plates. Equipment plates will allow you to attach first the equipment plate onto a hab, and then you can attach a weapon onto that equipment plate. So the equipment plates instantly give you more access to different parts of the ship, allowing you to get more bang for your buck, literally. Something that you need to be aware of when it comes to weapons in the game is that they need to be on elevated and or on the outside areas of the spaceship. If they're being hidden behind a specific part of the spaceship, they may not fire properly in combat, so you might want to be wary of where exactly you're placing all of your different weapons. For example, in Starfield, we have something called a weapon turret. So if you scroll over to your weapons tab and scroll down to one of the turrets in the game, these KE-42 cannon turrets are some turrets that can be mounted on your ship, and you can see all the different mounted parts. You see, boom, right there in the middle of my ship, I have this KE-42 cannon turret. This KE-42 cannon turret, 9 times out of 10, is not going to be able to fire properly at any ship. Why? Because it isn't on an elevated surface so that it can sense or see the ships properly. So it's kind of like eyeballs. If this thing is looking at a ship, if it points in that direction, then maybe it'll be able to shoot at it. But if the ship is directly in front of me and or below me, these things probably won't even fire. You want to make sure that all of your weapons are on the outskirts and spacious areas of your ship so that they'll be able to fire any and every time you need them to. Organizing doors and connecting habs. So in Starfield, you have these module parts, kind of like this Deimos Armory 2x1 and this Deimos All-in-One Berth 2x1. You cannot tell the game exactly where you want these things to connect. It's going to automatically scan the area and generate the best possible door solution that it feels you need for your ship design. However, if you use this special ship part right here, you can completely bypass that entire system and force the game to create a connection where you want it. This right here is a Hope Tech Hab cross brace, and because these two Habs are not directly touching each other, these Habs will not be able to connect with each other in any other way but the way you tell them. So this right here is an amazing way for you to organize your ship and connect it the way you want. There's some special parts in Hope Town that you can use in order to vertically or horizontally connect different Habs together. So make sure you pay a visit over there and you start building the ship of your dreams. If you like what we do here on the channel, make sure you smash that like button and sub to the channel so that you don't miss out on any more Starfield content like this one. This was your boy M of M Sensei HD. For now, I'm out of here.